All right, hello. I'm gonna be recording on my MacBook today just because I'm at boot camp. So Jewel actually gave me a hotel room so I could have somewhere to stay. So now I'm able to record this video and get it up. All right, so today was a day where we kind of just ran and literally just kept running, just like yesterday with kind of really no pullbacks. The only real pullbacks that I saw in the day, which I'll go over where I was watching, was this first pullback here at 9:54. So at 9:54, what I saw and what I was watching was that we had this QQQ negative king node right here, and we ended up. This is basically a floor roll up as well. Remember, like we always say with market structure, like as floors keep rolling up and ceilings keep getting put higher, it's typically just market makers just putting more leeway for price to move higher. They're stopping any sort of resistance, and SPX throughout the whole day had air pockets the whole way up. So if we look at QQQ, right, we had this king node down here at 710, and they just rolled it up to 713. So they rolled up the floor from 710 to 713. We get a pullback and we get a bounce off of that QQQ king node. And if we look at SPX, we have this king node right here too. So both QQQ and SPX king node, we had a bounce, and SPX still had air pockets all the way up to its king node, and this kept running and running. Now over here on SPY, right, we had some resistance at the 765, and then we finally got above and also just retested as support at 1042. Also at 1042, same thing on SPX, finally got above this negative node it had, and then at 1042 on QQQ, let's see. Well, QQQ seems like it had some small divergence here, and we ended up getting above. Something I also want to note out is that like throughout the day, you see this QQQ king node right here at 717. You see how it was a strong king node, and they shift the king node higher. Actually, not higher. They moved it down, and then when price got above it, throughout this range right here, right? So over here, this was SPY testing his king node. Actually, wait, no, I'm wrong. So, oh wait, no, SPY was testing his king node, and same with SPX. Now on QQQ, right? They're making leeway on QQQ for price to keep going up. So as QQQ got above, it still had this support here in the morning at 717, and this is at like 1113. So what do we see at 1113 too? SPY ends up bouncing this negative, and at 1113 over here, right? The SPX ends up claiming the king node support. So QQQ makes room for higher, and they moved the floor, or what was the ceiling, to a floor down, and then they moved it up as soon as price got above it. So that's really just market makers kind of just positioning themselves to defend to even go higher. Now, something with the IB today too is, like I said yesterday's video, where whenever the IB gets broken to the upside, we typically see continuation day. Today we actually did get a retest of the IB high at 1020. So we got a retest of the IB high. Something I want to point out too, these are the levels I had on NQ today, and this was a key level I had at 29,500. So at 29,500, this was kind of an area where was strong support. It's the psychological level. 29,500, it's in the 500 integer range, and that's a pretty strong level. So we held a strong NQ level as support, and if we look throughout the day now, this over here at 1020, and we kind of just kept going. So at 1020, we had this like small positive here on QQQ as kind of like a stop loss area, and then over here we could consider an overshoot here on the SPY king node, and same on SPX. So we had a small overshoot on here, and QQQ ends up continuing higher, and we kind of just grinded up the whole day. We ended up getting retests like here in like PM session of like SPY's king node, and like it was kind of just like if you weren't ready in calls that you'd ideally want to like be in them, you know. So over here too, we see as soon as price gets above, like where does the SPY king node end up rolling up to, right? Look at SPY. It's literally just rolling up throughout the day, right? Floor, 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 and then floor as well here with the retest. And then look again, like this is also over here, SPX testing the king node floor, SPY testing the king node floor. This was at what, 1442? And then look at that, QQQ testing the floor and the dark pool. So I mean, you had multiple times to enter calls without just chasing on at least some sort of pullback. Now here at the end of MOC, I didn't notice it was MOC, and I took a short play just because we had this QQQ king node ceiling up here, 727, and then we also had this negative, but also this SPY ceiling. So this is an ideal kind of like double top I was looking for from a previous short that we had over here from these ceilings or these gatekeepers that held the ceilings. And we had SPX King Node with SPY. So like when I shorted it down here, or up here, I mean, at 1545, it was pretty much into MOC, and I didn't even know. So ironically, like, I mean, the map showed downside and also showed these ceilings holding. So when I shorted it down, like this had a nice rundown, and then also all the way down to QQ King down to 723. So I mean, those were the three trades I saw throughout the day. I only took the IB retest for longs back up, and then the MOC shorts. And then you guys already know I played SMCI, Intel, Oracle. Like those were kind of the main tickers I was watching for today and stuff. So that's kind of the recap. Hopefully you guys maybe learned something from this. My DMs are always open, so if you have any questions, do let me know. All right, enjoy.